What's up, y'all? It's Jay Renee with Prison Riot Radio. I hope that you're doing well. I got Brother Ben back on the phone, and you already know we finna jump right into it. Hey, bro, I'm glad you made it back.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
For sure, most definitely. The last thing that we were conversing about was you were talking about, the amount of co-defendants and how many walked. It was kind of unexpected. So what makes that unexpected? Because I'm kind of green when it comes to that. My listeners might be too.
Well, the state, the DA or whatever, they're so used to co-defendants telling on each other or copping out that they didn't even really thoroughly investigate the case.
This is a call from SCI, Phoenix State Correctional Institution. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
It came out through transcripts that they never even thought it was going to be more than 1 or 2 trials. So, like I said, they've been spoiled. A lot of people telling on each other and all that stuff. So when they ran across us, it was like a culture shock. Because, even to myself, you got to think, out of 17 people, sadly, the reality is, like, I had 4 to 5 people just telling.
Right.
Not because they knew something, because to get themselves from under what they was facing. You know what I'm saying? You had dudes that had 3 years, now they got a life sentence hanging over their head. Dudes that had 7 months left on their sentence. That was all the strategy out of the DA to pit these boys with us.
Right.
Over the pressure will break them.
Right.
Like I said, made across something different. And you rarely see that. Like, in my initial case, I didn't even have a code D, but a dude that I consider like a relative to me, he had a bullshit probation charge and lied on me to get from under that. Got me a life sentence.
I know that was something, especially, after standing up for everybody.
So it was like this whole situation was the reverse of how my original trial went. Because I wish I would have represented myself.
This is a call from SCI, Phoenix State Correctional Institution. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
I wish I would have put in the due diligence that I did in this case, in my original case. So, in a sense, this was my redemption, too. Because I told myself, if I ever get a chance to go back, stand at court and represent myself, but this time it wasn't about me. But it was, in a sense, I was just a vessel, a catalyst to get these other guys from up under this bullshit that I knew they had nothing to do with. And then to make matters worse, I didn't even know 80% of my codees prior to us getting indicted. But it's like I still felt the pressure of having them seek acquittals and get acquittals and all that. So I feel all that pressure on my shoulders.
I can imagine. I didn't get to ask you this before, so I'm gonna ask you now. When they came in, to try to get control of the situation, were you injured?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, they went to cell, extracting people out their cells. So when they got to my cell, like, they didn't really know how it was, like, what capacity I played and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So to them, I was just like a regular prisoner, but ain't none of that mattered with them. So once they grabbed me and zip tied me, my hands behind my back, and I had all these locker boxes, these metal locker boxes, and like side of my cell, blocking the back door. I was at the end cell. So that was the first thing my face went crashing into.
And this is why you had your hands behind your back.
Yeah, I was zip tied, and they was holding me by my underarms on each side, bringing me into them. So that almost took me out. I was losing consciousness, and I'm telling myself, don't fall, man. Can't fall. So as we going down the hallway, it was just a barrage. I'm feeling punches, but I got my chin tucked in my chest. So it just hit me in my head, and I'm feeling kicks and all that. But my whole thing is don't fall. like, dude, somebody just dumped on my feet and took my sneakers off, you know, so wet from the fire alarm sprinklers that was going off all day. So, like I said, so they take us out through the hallway. It was just a barrage. It was just an assault, a mass assault. And so I'm laying on the concrete in my own blood, dripping from my forehead and my lip. And yeah, and I'm like, and it's slipping in and out of consciousness the whole time.
In that moment, did you feel like, damn, I might die?
I don't necessarily say die, because I was just like in like a trance almost. Then, like, I had to put myself in like some type of trance, because like I said, the pain, just the pain from the zip ties, like cutting my wrist and all that, I couldn't move. And then, like I said, I was just in and out of conscience. Like I said, I started thinking about my ancestors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like those that was whipped, castrated, hung. Like, I'm really imagining this in my head, and I was leaning on all that as a source of strength. So I'm like, damn, like, that's the endurance and resilience we got. So I'm cut from that same cloth. So I just close my eyes and start thinking about that type stuff, and it just started, like, I don't know, it was enraging me, so it was warming me up at the same time, but keeping me cohesive from just slipping into a conscious state for real.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Did you ever receive any type of medical attention for your injuries?
Nah. All we did when they picked us up from the yard, I just found it was a bloody trail from the yard to the back of the infirmary. And I'm walking with socks on, trying not to step in the blood and all that shit, but they just like dragging me. Still zip tied. So we go to the back of the infirmary, and I'm sitting in the stool. All they doing is just cleaning up the dried up blood. They can't even take my vitals. The zip ties is so tight on my wrist. My blood flow is messed up. So they can't take. I ain't got no reading on my vitals. And I ain't never gonna forget this though. It was this black nurse. She was tending to me, and I kept like slipping in and out of conscious while I'm sitting on the stool. And she was like, "Wake up, baby, wake up." So I'm like, open my eyes, and then she was like, "You alright?" I'm like, "Nah." But then they grabbed me, like, "Time's up." Like, guards grabbed me, like, "Time's up," and I looked at her, and she's like, I seen the tear going down her face, man.
Damn.
And
So how long did you stay at the facility after this happened?
What was it, like 8 months or something?
Okay.
They put us back in the shoe, and then certain names, but they was targeting anyway, without no investigation and all that. They targeted certain people and just put us back to in the whole area.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, what was the treatment of the prisoners after this? Like, how was they behaving, the guards?
Well, the next day, we had went to a certain section of the shoe. And that next day, I seen the whole transformation of some of the guards. Like, they had etiquette. They was polite. They ain't with no problems. You know what I'm saying? It was a complete 360. Then, even with some of the prisoners, too. Like, some of the ones that were just quiet and docile.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they just speaking out. They aggressive. I'm saying they just was inspired by the camaraderie of it all. And we all was back there moving as one.
Right.
We all was back there moving as one. And every time they see unity, they got to break it up. People they thought was leading the charge. what you were referring to the other day. They come at 3 in the morning and start causing havoc throughout the prison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they was because they seen that everybody was invigorated, so they had to stomp that out, and that was their way of doing it. That was their way of instilling the fear back into the prison collective. So that was a tactic. That was the tactic. But they seemed like everybody was tired, and everybody was showing it and expressing it. Like, everybody been tired, but everybody wasn't always expressing it.
Right.
Once they see everybody expressing it, like, man,